Okay, going back to hello, good morning. Going back to what we want here as sort of like the end goal for Unit 4. Here's the sort of demo. No, we have choose difficulty, easy, medium, hard. If we click on a difficulty, it will load the scene, and then the game over here is when you have uh, a fruit or a good target fall down that you haven't clicked through, right? And then there's a game over screen. If we click on restart, it will uh, take us back to choose difficulty, etc. So the current state of our game here, or what we did previously. So we have, when we click on play, it starts the game directly, and then there's no difficulty setting yet. However, if we click on a fruit here, for example, there, if we don't click on a fruit rather, and it falls, then there is a game over screen. If we restart, it automatically starts the game. So few things we want to do. First thing is we want to sort of design the game over screen, not the game over screen, the choose difficulty screen. For that, I'll just be clicking on game over text, since this is sort of like the general area where we want to put our choose difficulty screen, right? Or choose difficulty text rather. So I'll just duplicate this with Control D. So I'll click on game over text, Control D to duplicate, and that gives us another game over text here. I'll rename this to difficulty text, like so. And then under the text, instead of game over, this should be choose difficulty. So I'll activate this for now so we could see it clearly. For the restart button, I will also rename this to easy button. And for the text, I'll rename this to easy text. Okay, I'll change the text to easy as well. So that's for the easy difficulty button. And for this button, we want to remove this on click. No, we'll code in a different behavior for this. So we'll remove this from the list. Now it's empty, and then I will duplicate our easy button twice. This is for the hard and for the medium. So medium button, and this is hard button. For the text, I'll just rename this. We don't really need to rename this, but for organization's sake, I will. Medium, and this is hard. Okay, I'll just edit. So easy is easy, medium here should also be medium, or medium, like so. Hard here should also be. Okay, and then we will um, just adjust the location in the inspector or in the scene view. I mean, so we click on the button, not the TMP, not the text. We click on the button and then we'll move it. So for easy, we'll put it somewhere along here. Guess that's pretty good. For hard, we'll move it alongside like here. So easy, medium, hard. No code here yet. But what we want to do is whenever we click on easy, it will call the game. It will start the game rather with the difficulty that we set. So the thing that I did previously was easy as 2 seconds spawn rate, medium is 1 second spawn rate, and for hard it's 0.5 second spawn rate. Let's create a script to have a behavior for our buttons. So under our scripts folder, I'll create another C# script. I'll name this difficulty buttons. Difficulty button there. I'll click on easy, medium, and hard, these buttons, and I'll add a component difficulty after it reloads, or okay, difficulty button. So I'll add all I'll add it on all three buttons now. Okay. So if we click on easy button, it has the difficulty script, uh, and for medium and hard as well. So let's edit the script. Okay, so we want a variable. I'll serialize this field. No, we want a field that will tell us which spawn rate. So if it's easy, diba, it's 2 seconds. So we want to set it for each individual button, but we don't want it na I'll set like a new script for easy, like a new script for medium, like a new script for hard. We just want a new script, and then we'll just adjust the variables sa inspector via serialization. Serialize field, private float. This is spawn rate, and then we also want to take hold of the game manager. So this one, I'll just do private game manager, like so. This we will use this later for we'll use this later to call on the game manager to restart the scene, or to when we click on the button, it will start the game. We also need a reference to our button component. So this one, uh, going back to our inspector, right? Our button na game object, so easy button here, for example, it has rect transform, canvas reader. It has these two, image and button. So these are components. These are actually scripts, no? But these are made as components for our button. So we want this button component of our button game object. Okay? We'll initialize that to start. We'll find game manager first. So this is just game object dot find uh, game manager, and then we'll get the component game manager, like so. And then for the button, we will, oops, that's not it. We'll get the component for this game object, right? Get component button, and then we will add some functionality to our button. So button, I'd say we'll do button that add. Oh, let me check on my notes real fast. Ah, we'll say button on click. So whenever there's a click, we'll add an action listener or a listener. So the listener listens for a click, right, to our button object. We won't need updates, so won't do anything to update. And then this one is a function name or a method name. Instead of on button click, I will do start set difficulty, and then like so. Uh, there. So whenever we click on the button, it will call set difficulty. So set difficulty, the thing we do here is start the game or call game manager to start the game, as well as set the spawn rate or difficulty of the game, right? So we don't have methods for that yet. We will code that in later. But for spawn rate, let's set it for all of the three buttons yet. Uh, yeah, for now. Okay, so easy button, we have 2 seconds spawn rate. For medium is 1, and for hard is 0.5. Okay, so we don't have the function yet to for the game manager to start the game. So that's the next thing we'll do is go to our game manager, and then go to our game manager script. Okay, to start the game, we'll have a public method here, public void start game. And then what I want to do here is we'll pass the spawn rate from our button object to our game manager, and then our game manager will pass it to our spawn target spawner. So I want that our start game will have a float input or float parameter. This is for our spawn rate. And then we'll put is game active is at true because we want that the game we'll set the game as active when the start game is called, and then we'll set this to false at the very beginning. Okay, because we will just start the game when the button is clicked. Okay, the next or the few things we want to do here is we'll disable the difficulty text. We want to set score or reset score, and then make or enable rather enable or activate our score text. And then we also want our spawner to activate. So set spawn rate of target spawner, as well as make spawner active or start spawning. Start spawning. Start spawning targets. Okay, so isa-isa lang. First, we'll have to disable the difficulty text. So we need a reference to that. So I'll serialize another field here. Private. That's a text message from GUI. And I'll say this is difficulty text. And then we'll just say difficulty text dot game object dot set active to true. Same thing for score. So for score, we'll also do that. But this is score text. And then we'll just fill the references later in the inspector. So for this one, enable score text. This should be false, right? We have to disable it. Dot game object set active to, instead of false here, we want this to be true. Okay. Okay. And then for the spawn rate, see, isa-isa lang. Spawn rate, we'll get the target spawner, the script. We'll edit this as well. So for the target spawner, we'll have another reference. I'll also just serialize the field, but to make this more organized, I'll get a header, or I'll create a header. This is for managers. And then I'll serialize a field for, what did I say? Target spawner. Spawner. And since we also need to reset the score, actually this is not a real thing we have to do, but just to make sure, no. We also want a reference or score manager. This is to reset the score, right? Later. Then I'll make another header here for text displays. Okay. So you have our target spawner, but our target spawner does not have the set spawn rate and the start spawning targets yet. So we'll create that over our target spawner. So we'll create a public void. So this is a setter. So set spawn rate, and then this should accept a float spawn rate like so, and then we'll say this spawn rate is equal to that the parameter spawn rate. We should also create another public method here, public void start spawn. So our start spawn will just call spawn targets, no, as a coroutine. And instead of calling it a start, we want to call this from start spawn. so we can control the spawn when we click on the difficulty button. So I'll remove that from start and I'll transfer it here over at start spawn. And then I'll go back to our game manager. So set spawn rate. So we'll say not score text target spawner dot set spawn rate as the spawn rate that we passed here as a parameter, and then I'll just do it line by line. And then what we want is to start spawning target. So target spawner dot start spawn. And yeah, that doesn't need okay. For the score, we'll open our score manager. We want to reset the score here. Public void reset score. This is a bit repetitive because we are resetting it whenever we load the scene, but it's just sort of like a security measure. But there, we will reset this score. So it's a score text dot reset score, right? It's there, right? Reset score. Public. Ah, should be score manager. Sorry, score manager. Then we'll enable text. Anything else we want to do for starting game? Wala naman. Nothing else. We just have to connect it with our inspector, right? Okay. So a little more or a few more things. We want to disable score text at the very start of our screen. So let's deactivate it at the very start. For game manager, so we want our target spawner as well. So serialized here, and we want our score manager. For the difficulty text, we'll just drag it here, and the score text, we'll drag it here as well. There. Okay. And then we'll save this, and I'll maximize this for now. Okay, so our game starts like this. Nothing else is displayed, only choose difficulty. If we click on easy here, nothing yet happens because we haven't called, we haven't connected it, the button script, to our game manager. We haven't called start game yet, okay? So this one, we'll call it in difficulty button. No? We'll say game manager dot start game, and then we'll pass in our spawn rate. Okay, saving. Click on play, and this should connect. So for easy, if I click on it, then it will start spawning every 2 seconds, like so. If it's a bomb, we don't have to click on it. There. So when we don't click on something, it will just restart. Okay. So restart. It will go back to our choose difficulty screen. If we click on hard, so there, it's much faster spawning, and yes. So the thing here is there is a collision between our targets, no? So we can disable that as well. I'll show you a way like this. So it gets hard if there's a falling target and then it bumps into a rising target. So you can't sort of click on the rising target. So we can do that by either going to the prefabs here, and then we click on our sphere. We'll select the sphere collider. We could set it to trigger, but this messes up with the physics. I think with the center of gravity sa torque. And if we do this, I'll just display it. No? The spin of the fruit and the bombs are kind of wacky. So something like that. Not really what we intended. So another thing is we will implement sort of layering. And this is, so we have tags which controls, if there's a collision, you can know the tag and then you can have some sort of some sort of function or any behavior that we can implement it um, when there is a collision with the tag. However, this is collision layer. What we want to do here is collision layer, and then we can select now which layers will collide. I will add a layer here under layer 6, user layer 6. I will say targets. Okay, we'll set that the targets do not collide with themselves, even if we have colliders activated. So we have targets sa sorting sa layers. Okay, this is again collision layers, and then oops, you must exit. Wait, okay. But anyway, prefabs, and then we'll set all of this, all of our prefabs to that. Oh, it didn't save because we were on play mode. Again, this should be targets, like so. Then save it. Go back to our prefabs. Bomb 1 through 3. So the layer should be targets. And then we go to our edit, project settings, and under physics, so there's a lot of settings here now. We could have the gravity, which is y minus 9.81, so that's the downward gravity. There's our material, etc. What we want to do here, or what we want to see here, is this matrix. So this is the collision matrix now. So our layers, for example, are default. So anything that we haven't set a collision layer is that it collides with the targets, it collides with UI, collides with water, etc. Any of these tags. It is also set that the default will collide with default. So there's default collision, that anything that is labeled as default will also collide with default. We also have here that our targets collide with default. That's okay because we want collisions uh, on our sensor. What we don't want is targets colliding with each other. So for that, we could click on this. So that's targets here and targets up above, right? So if we click on this and then we'll save it, let's close this and let's click on play. Let's do hard para makita tayong collision so we can see the collisions. There. So I'm not sure if you've seen that, but there's no more collisions between objects there. It's no longer colliding. So it's a bit more fair. We don't have that thing where there's a falling target, there's a rising target, they collide somewhere at the bottom, and then bam, just game over, right? Okay, restart our game, etc. But that's basically it. What's left to do is we could just build, right? Build settings. I think I've demonstrated this before. We could add open scenes and then player settings. We want this to be windowed. Our default is 750 by 750, so I'll just put it there. Close this. If you have icons already for your game, you could put it here as well, no? And then just click on build. This will ask for our build folder. So I'll just put it under the same project folder, unit 4, class 2. And then I'll say this is our build folder. Select. So it will just build. The first building, okay, failed in 9 seconds. Build completed with the result. Failed in 9 seconds. Why is that? Scripts had compiler errors. What? Which one is this? I think our IntelliSense or my IntelliSense added that randomly. Okay. Again, I'll try to build it. Okay. There. It's built. So XA na siya. We could just port this to any Windows PC, right? Or Windows 64-bit. And then there, we have for game. Click on hard. There. It works. Oop. Oh, okay. That's a skill issue on my part. But that's it. That's it for our game. And yeah, we'll do future in the future. We'll do more. As I've said before, we can do sort of like scenes. Like our game over screen is one scene. Our difficulty screen is one scene, and then we can just link them with, like we could just string it together. No, load this scene after the next. But we'll do that on succeeding lectures. But for now, uh, lecture ends here. Unit 4 ends here. Thank you.